Hi everybody, I'm Shane with Quick Attach. Today I'm going to go over the features and benefits of the Trench-It Industrial Trencher. This trencher is available in a variety of different configurations. There's 3-foot and 4-foot digging depths. There's standard flow versions with 15 to 32 gallons per minute, as well as high flow versions with 30 to 45 gallons per minute. The chains are available in a variety of different configurations. There's 2 different digging widths of 6 and 8 inches, and there's also 3 different types of digging teeth. There's standard cup, there's cup with carbide bullet, and cup with carbide scorpion as shown here. We offer this trencher with 2 different size motors to cover flow rates from 15 to 45 gallons per minute and pressures up to 4,000 psi. Being able to utilize the high pressures of these modern skid steer loaders is really important in a trenching application because the pressure of the system is proportional to how much torque you can get out of the motor. And trenching requires as much torque as possible. Okay, so I'm showing the end of the digger boom here, and what we have set up is a 6-inch cup scorpion style chain. And I wanted to show you the large size of the idler wheels on the end here. These are extra large diameter, so they roll easily in dirt, and they're also extra wide so that there's enough room for actually 2 disc bearings inside. Disc bearings are an extremely heavy style of bearing that has shields on them to protect the seals from any damage from things wrapping on it. They're the perfect bearing for this application. So on the end of the crummer tube we have the crummer. This is the part of the frame that scrapes the bottom of the trench as you're digging. This is optional. You can remove it if you don't want to use it. It simply unpins from the frame up front here. But it does a really nice job of cleaning the bottom of the trench. It has a plate here that does the scraping. It also slides back and forth to follow the contour of the trench itself. So I wanted to talk about one of the most important features of this trencher, and that is this heavy-duty spring. This spring is housed inside of the boom arm right here. You can't see it, it's the access covers on this side of the trencher boom. And this is what allows the end of the boom to slide in and out. And the reason this is so important is because in tougher digging conditions, especially conditions where you have small rocks, the rocks can be picked up by the chain and dragged through the sprocket, the drive sprocket. And in doing so, that can cause stalling or over-tensioning of the chain. And what this spring allows is a certain amount of forgiveness to allow the chain to flex and to kick that rock out without stopping. So I wanted to point out an important detail about the spring system on this trencher boom, and that is these white pieces here. They're actually UHMW, and they protect the wear surfaces between the inner and outer tubes. This is the part of the inner tube that slides inside while it's flexing on this spring. And all the wear surfaces are covered by this UHMW, so it's going to last a really long time. So I wanted to talk a bit about the frame, the backbone of this whole trencher. To start with, the main frame is made up of 2 full-length pieces of 2.5-inch square tubing that are fully capped on both ends. They're solid welded to a mounting plate. In front of that we have 2 additional tubes which also add stiffness to the frame. These tubes, however, are bolted in place so that the drive head can slide offset up to 24 inches to the right. That's really useful if you're digging next to an obstacle like a concrete pad or a building or a tree. You can get the trencher chain closer to the obstacle, including removing the auger, and still keep the skid steer out of the way. The auger is made up of very heavy wall DOM tubing as well as 3/8-inch flighting, and the diameter is 14 inches. And the nice feature about this flighting is that it runs full length, so it's going to push the dirt to the maximum distance away from your trench. It's also easily removable by just pulling this one bolt right here. The side shift feature on this trencher frame is very easy to use. You simply remove this linch pin and this retaining pin, and then maneuver the skid steer to manually side shift the boom over up to 24 inches to the side. If you want to lock it back in, you just put the pin back in the frame hole here. Moving forward from the tubular frame, we have some of the plate features where the drive unit is actually bolted on. On top here we have 1/2-inch plate with 3-inch square tubing to hold the crummer tube, so it's really strong and robust. And on the drive side, we have a massive 3/4 inch plate that's machined to be true, and then the drive hub, the bearing carrier and motor are all bolted to that plate. Okay, so we wanted to show you some action footage of the trencher in use. We started here on this sandy ridge. The conditions here are wet sand. It's got very little rock in it. It's pretty much all sand. So this is about as light of digging as you can probably get. Now, we did a timed test here. I did not run a clean run. I'm not ready for Trencher Olympics yet, but we did about 13 feet in 1 minute, and I stalled it at least once. I was trying to push pretty hard. I didn't have the machine in creep mode. Sometimes you get better control by switching your machine to creep mode if they have it, and then just dialing it to whatever speed the machine can handle. I was kind of inconsistent with my joystick controls, and so then you're going too fast, too slow. But anyways, we're digging a 6-inch wide trench, 4 feet deep in sand, wet sand, very few rocks. It ran really nice, leaves a nice clean trench actually. So this short little demonstration gives you a quick overview of how to properly operate the trencher to dig full depth. In order to get full depth out of the trencher chain, the mounting plate should be level with the horizon, and then the skid shoe should be close to, if not touching the ground. You never want to push down hard on the trencher and drag the skid shoe because that's going to take power. Also, you don't want the auger on the other side to actually be digging in virgin soil. You want that up off the virgin soil so you're not wasting power with the auger digging. Okay, so I wanted to try to demonstrate to you why the spring system in this boom is so important. So I went to the worst possible conditions I could find. This is kind of a poor man's gravel pit here. It's a lot of sand again, but also has a lot of rock in it. Anything from 1/4 inch up to 4 inch. It's all mixed together, and I don't know if it's in layers or what it is, but there was definitely a few times I dug in here four shots, and there was definitely times where you could tell that it ingested a rock and then spit it out. So 2 of the rocks that I saw get spit out the side, at least, was this big one and this one. I think that you can actually see the mark it left. So interestingly, when I stopped and sat down here, we were trying to decide how to demonstrate the rocks ingesting into the sprocket, and there's actually a rock still sitting in the sprocket. I stopped it just when one was getting spit in there. So I don't know if you can zoom in here, James, but see if I can get it out. So that's the kind of rock that gets caught in these chains. Now you wouldn't think that little rock is going to cause you headaches, but it sure does when you're busy and you're trying to dig a trench. And of course, different size rocks and different compositions of rocks are going to give you different results. But if you don't have a system that can accommodate this kind of variability, it's going to stall. And every time you stall, you're going to have to stop, reverse the chain to kick out the rock, and start over again. And it breaks the rhythm. And so that little spring in our boom is a game changer when it comes to productivity. It's going to eat these rocks and spit them right out and keep right on going. We're going to run a quick little test here. I'm going to take this rock, which is about 1 inch long and maybe 3/4 inch around. I'm going to set it in the chain, and then I'm just going to turn the trencher on and see what happens. Okay, so we tested this little 1-inch rock. It just got caught between the rollers and the trencher. The sprocket tooth just crushed it, pushed it right through. So this is the biggest piece I can find of it. My guess is this is like a sedimentary type of rock. It's not super duper strong, but it's going to fracture under enough load. We're going to try a second test here with a slightly bigger rock. This is maybe 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches long. A little bit bigger. We'll jam it in here and try it again. Okay, test number 2 with the slightly larger rock. It also fractured and blew it out of there, so this was the biggest piece I could find. it didn't stop. I'm running this on standard flow at idle speed, so you can see how much torque is being built. It's pretty impressive. We're going to look around here and see if we can find a few more rocks to try. Okay, so our first two tests, the rocks crushed. So we found some granite samples here. It should be much harder. It's going to take a lot more force to crack these. I got about 4 or 5 of them here. I'm just going to stuff them up here at the end of the boom. We're going to try to follow them back as they get fed into the sprocket. Okay, so we did test number 3 with some granite rock. I honestly thought some of these would come through, but it actually crushed them all. This was the biggest piece I could find. There's more laying down here, but we had about 5 rocks in the chain. It took them down. I think the footage shows the end of the boom moving because of the spring system, but I wanted to point out while I was down here that the design of the sprocket is very specific to this application of trenching. And a couple of points about the sprocket itself is it's a large oversized sprocket. We're running 2-inch chain here. It's heat treated so that it's hard. It's going to wear for a very long time. And also between the teeth we have these grooves, these relief cuts between every tooth. That's really important when you get into soils that are sticky like clay, because it helps shed the material off of the sprocket. If it builds up with too much material and can't clear the groove between the teeth, then it starts building up and making the diameter larger till it finally will stall. So the design of the sprocket is really well thought out to work for a long time and works successfully in this tough application. Okay, so we moved over to the rockiest portion of the farm here, and this is what I would consider the worst case scenario for a trencher. Not only is there a crazy amount of rock in this soil, it's also mostly clay. And the challenge with clay is that, especially when it's wet like this, it's really sticky. And so when you got rocks like this buried in the clay, it takes a tremendous amount of power to pull the rock up and out of the ground, which is what ends up happening. So from a torque and from a power standpoint, I think this is the worst case scenario for a trencher. Now, we did a really good job here trenching 4 feet deep, 6 inches wide. We went roughly 25 feet in maybe give or take 5 minutes. I stalled it a few times along the way. I started off grinding on a rock that wouldn't budge. But you'll see rocks like this with scuff marks on them. This is where the cups and the carbides have grabbed at it and pulled it up. There's many, many more rocks that are buried you can't see in the dirt here. These were just the ones that were kind of sitting on top. So this gives you an example of what is capable in terms of performance for this trencher. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about the chain design that we're using here today. This is what we call a scorpion type chain. The scorpion teeth have carbide tips on them. They're rigid, they don't turn. They're bolted solidly to the chain. And you'll notice that each cup has a guard in front of it, a scorpion tooth leading the way. So that scorpion's gonna plow basically a groove through the soil for the cup to follow in. The cup teeth are really the tool that moves the dirt. And I was telling James here earlier that if I were to dig in light conditions all day long, I would want all cups on my chain, because that's what moves the dirt. And if you want to move the most dirt in the shortest amount of time, you got to have a lot of cups on it. But a nice compromise is to use a 50-50 cup and carbide chain like we have here, and you'll be ready for any condition, including conditions like this where we have a huge number of rocks embedded in the clay. Okay, so one last test for the day I wanted to try was, I just had this old chunk of concrete laying here. It was partially buried. I just wanted to see what would happen, demonstrate the toughness of these scorpion carbide teeth. You can see after just about 30 seconds they're just cutting grooves in this concrete, so it shows you how tough a carbide tooth is in this kind of conditions. Obviously a trencher is not made to trench in concrete or solid hard rock, but it just gives you a demonstration of how capable these carbide teeth really are. I hope you've enjoyed this video on the hydraulic industrial trencher. Check back often as we make more videos just like this one. As always, give us a call or check out our website if you have any questions.